When I started this project, I didn't own a hammer and I didn't even know how to use a skill saw. I've called the tiny home an old-fashioned barn raising. I'm hoping maybe my brother or somebody might help me for a few projects, but I got this, even if I'm by myself. Hey, I'm Jane. I'm a single mom and I'm not letting that hold me back. I just bought 5 acres of raw land in the Kootenay Rockies where I'm building my dream timber frame home and homestead with a permaculture food forest and even a vacation rental. All of this is so one day, hopefully, my daughter won't need to struggle the way that I did. Come along with me as I create my very own freedom recipe. Today I'm taking you on a tour of my tiny home. I've been picking away at my tiny home for several years now, and I started with a plain flat deck trailer. I live in a part of the world that is highly sought after, and as a result, there is a 0% vacancy for housing. When I became a single mom, it was so hard to find some place to live, especially somewhere that was affordable. And I was renting a 2-bedroom house right in the middle of town, but the landlord kept saying that she was gonna sell it. Remembering how hard it was to find anything, and while I considered buying that house, it was mouse infested and had black mold. It's really cute to live in an old mining town that was part of the Wild West. It's less cute to live in a building that is over 120 years old and kind of rotting to the ground. So I didn't know how I was gonna do it, but I just thought, you know what? I'm gonna jump and the net will appear. So project by project, I've been picking away at this tiny home, and it's not exactly finished yet, but I wanted to share with you how far I've come on this journey, and I will be regularly posting updates for this tiny home build. Hopefully we'll see it come to completion together. Fingers crossed, you know? This isn't gonna be one of those tiny home tours where everything is perfect and it looks like it could be Pinterest ready. This is the realities of building a tiny home while you're living in it with your kid. If you're new here, I am known for my crazy ideas, so this is one of them. This little home is my baby, so come on in. Welcome to my home. I'm feeling a little shy to show you this because it's a work in progress, but here we go. So you walk in right away to my kitchen, which is pretty small, but it gets the job done. I built most of the kitchen myself. I built the counter, although I had help from a professional with the laminate. I built this with a friend, although I don't like the color that I stained it, so I'm gonna redo that. What's neat about this is it actually slides open instead of opening like a cupboard, and you'll see why in a minute. Also in here, I keep our little toaster oven, and at the moment, this is all we actually use for an oven. My stovetop is actually hidden inside of this drawer, which is really handy because you just open the drawer, plug it in, use it, and then tuck it away when you don't need it anymore. I would like to perhaps take out this part of the counter and put in an RV size propane stove, but that's a future project. At the moment, this works for us. It's modest and that's okay. I also spray painted the lower cabinets on this side, and some are wood and some are from IKEA, and I didn't realize that the coating that they put over the MDF would flake off if I spray painted it. So I actually need to redo it. I need to strip it all and prime it and paint it again. Love doing things twice, which happens to me a lot. This kitchen cart, this middle kitchen table island, 3-in-1 is one of my favorite pieces because a really good friend of mine helped me finish the wood, and it's super cool because it's actually on hinges. So eventually I'm gonna actually make some custom foldable chairs that will go underneath the cart, and then this table will pop up and you can have up to 6 people sitting at it, which is kind of crazy for a tiny home. We have an RV-sized fridge, and it was from an old RV from somebody else, so I just refinished it to make it look more modern. It can be propane or electric, but since we're on the grid, it doesn't really need to be propane, so we've just had it electric the whole time. And after a while, I've realized, well, I don't really need to have this RV fridge. I could just get a regular bar-sized fridge that might have better options for a freezer, but it works for now. This is where I keep all of our dishes. All of our dishes. This is everything everything we use. Oh, except for one drawer that is dedicated to Tupperware. There are only 2 of us, so we don't need a whole lot. This is my propane on-demand water heater, and I love it. We've never run out of hot water. It just keeps on going. It's been so good. You can run the kitchen, you can have a shower at the same time. It's been awesome. And we've never run out of hot water yet, so. I've got double French doors on this side, which is really cool because it just opens up and makes the whole space look huge. But you might notice a weird, funny window on this side because that's eventually gonna be a door and it's gonna match the other 2 doors. So we'll have these glass pane doors across the whole living space. But again, it's on the list. There's also a skylight in the kitchen, which I really love, and that's actually for the plants. I put it in specifically because I knew I was gonna be hanging plants from the ceiling and that they were gonna need light. I love plants, and one of the only sad things about moving into a tiny home was I had no room for all of my plants. I knew I had to come up with a solution, and it was to build this aerial garden. And I water it by using our ladder that we can move back and forth. Also, I love this painting that I have up here. It's actually a tapestry that I made a frame for and then stapled the tapestry to it. The artist's name is Mugwort, and I absolutely love it. You'll notice over time that I've got a bit of a raven theme going on. And because of that tapestry, that's also why I installed the lights on the ceiling as I did, because I knew that there was gonna be art there. Then there's this lovely skull that an ex-girlfriend of mine actually found on a hike and brought it back for me. It doesn't have a name, but we're pretty sure it's a cow skull, and she's a vibe, so she's staying. I definitely wanted to have a deep 2-compartment sink. My plumber was like, oh, you're just in a tiny home, put in a little bar sink. And I was like, no, we still live here and eat here and cook here. So yeah, full-size sink. I haven't installed any of the flooring in the tiny home. That's gonna be the very last thing I do. So what's on the floor right now is just kind of a working floor. It's vinyl that is meant to be trashed. It has paint on it, it has cuts on it. It's all gonna be replaced in the future with stone in the main living area, and then there's gonna be hardwood in the rest of the house. I've called the tiny home an old-fashioned barn raising based on my Mennonite roots, where family and friends would all come together and build you a structure as quickly as possible. I'm very lucky to have had a professional carpenter, roofers, tilers, and an electrician within my circle during this build. But after a while, people do get tired of working on your projects, even if they are trading for exciting things like tattoos. In the end, it's probably just gonna be you. Okay, I'm gonna flip you guys around and show you the living room area. Okay, right now the living room is nothing to write home about because I still have to build it. One thing I think nobody really tells you when you go into building a tiny home is that most of your furniture is gonna have to be custom, meaning you're either gonna have to hire someone to build it or you're gonna have to build it yourself. I haven't upholstered my couch yet. Luckily, I kind of know how to do that because my mom used to upholster things when I was younger. I've never done a couch, but I can sew and I'm kind of up for the task. At the moment, I have all of the padding that I need, but I actually have to choose the material I want and then make it. Before I can do that though, I have to actually build a set of bookshelves. I always wanted to have one of those reading nooks that you just crawled into and then there was a light above you as you were curled up with a good book and a cup of hot chocolate. And when I was building the tiny home, I thought, oh, I'm never gonna be able to have that. And then I realized, why not? So this is actually going to be the edge of my bookshelf. And then in both sides are gonna be books, and actually more books across the top here. This is gonna be a winter project because as much as I wanna do it now, winter is the time to tackle the interior because it obviously snows a lot in Canada, so we need to use all of that time to be doing the outdoor projects. There are actually already 2 light sconces installed, but they're just under the black material. And the black material isn't gonna stay, it's all gonna be wood. Pretty much everything that I have left to build in here is wood, but I can't add any more weight to the tiny home until I move it to the new land. So I'm kind of at a standstill, but that's okay because it's not going to be long from now. I love my wood stove. It really saves us, but it could use a fresh coat of paint. It's rated to heat a space that's 1,000 square feet, and we're about a quarter of that, so it gets really warm and toasty in here. I'm someone who naturally runs cold, so I'd much rather open a window and door to cool down than to not be able to get the house hot enough to be comfortable. That's a nightmare. And all of the wood gets stacked at the bottom of the future bookshelves. This hammock makes for an extra awesome chair. And when you're not using it, you can just tuck it away and then it's gone. Floor space is limited, so you gotta get creative. I also used this block of wood for my little coffee table. It's on wheels, so we just roll it in and out whenever we need it. The ladder is actually used for both sides. I just unclip it and move it over to the other side, and then when we don't need to get into that bedroom loft, we move it back over here. There are two lofts. There's the big bedroom loft, and then there's what we call the toy loft. Eventually, it might be a single person sleeping loft for guests, but we need somewhere for a kid to be a kid. Also, my daughter made me this lovely snowflake, and I'm gonna keep it up for a really long time, I think, even if winter's over. Because there are things that aren't finished, that means I'm open to suggestions. So please put in the comments if there are any things that you would like to see in this space, or if you would change anything. Obviously, I can't change things like tile or whatever, but if you have an opinion, for example, on the kitchen floor, I would love to hear it. Because you know how sometimes you can be in a project for so long and then you kind of lose sight of if something still looks good or not? Yeah, I'm there. So yeah, I'm open to ideas. Okay, let me show you a little hidden thing that's down the hallway. Okay, before we go down the hall, I want to show you this cute trick that I actually stole from another YouTuber who was showing a tour of their tiny home. Because there are wheel wells in the trailer, there are these weird bump outs and you have to kind of figure out a way to hide them. So I did a step up, and that means we have room to hide all of our shoes. It's not pretty under there. And all of this is going to be hardwood, which is why I have this piece here as an inspiration. It's not going to be as light as this. I'm going to refinish it, but this honestly just helps me stay sane when I look at a working floor that has paint and plaster all over it. Okay, I want to show you the most finished part of the house, which is the bathroom. One really cool tip that I was given was to finish one room in the house so you have a little sanctuary to go to when you're losing your mind. And for me, that was the bathroom. I just needed a place where I could close the door, soak in a tub, and just forget about everything. The bathroom is not 100% finished. I still want to paint the ceiling. I need to finish the inside of these cupboards. There needs to be a light above the sink and a door over my broom closet. Oh, I also want to make wicker baskets to hide all of our toiletries. The older my daughter gets, the more likely there are going to be more and more and more bottles of products. And I'd like to hide them all away so I don't have to look at them. And of course, you can't have a bath without plants. Hanging again, because floor space. But it is my little oasis, and I'm so glad that I did it. People often say to me too, oh my gosh, you put a full-size tub in your tiny home. Yeah, it's essential. A bath a day keeps the crazy away. Also, I have to give credit to an ex. She decided to put in the double shower heads that have the 2 temperature controls. That's been super cool, and I highly recommend it. Let's go look at my daughter's loft, which is actually above the bathroom. This space is most often used for just hanging out, to be honest, because she usually crawls in with me every night, which I think is super cute. The back wall is eventually going to be wood, and the walls will eventually match the rest of the house as well. I did a faux finish on the ceiling to try to get it to look a little bit like copper, but after I built my cabin studio and put cedar tongue and groove on the ceiling, now I kind of want to do it in the tiny home too. So chances are this whole roof is going to get redone. Add it to the list. My daughter can actually access her clothes through these curtains, which is the top half of the wardrobe, which I will show you in my bedroom after this. I'm also going to build boxes on both sides of her bed for extra storage. And you might have noticed that she's got 2 really nice skylights. In the rare event that she does sleep up here, we have seen our share of shooting stars. Eventually, I want to replace one of the skylights to open like a hatch for 2 reasons. 1, it's a good emergency exit because this tiny little window is not going to cut it. And 2, she'll be able to access the rooftop patio by crawling out the skylight. Stay tuned. I like to let her make her own decisions about what color the walls are, what her bedding is, but eventually everything in this room is going to correspond to what my room looks like, which isn't too shabby if I do say so myself. The long-term plan for the tiny home is to become my vacation rental. When all of the projects are complete, it's going to be so adorable, so cute, so cozy, right here at the base of a mountain, close to skiing and hiking trails, a golf course, and the Old West mining towns. So obviously, I love it in this bedroom. I actually built everything myself. I built the wardrobe, which is almost finished. I sewed the curtains. I even made my headboard. I upholstered the walls. I built the window frame. I even made this really cool ceiling. I get to have some of my things and my books lined up right here. Yes, that shelf has to be stained still. I also store a bunch of my clothing behind here, and most of my clothing are in the cupboards. It's a mixture of bohemian meets harem meets Tudor era. I always wanted to have a bed like this, but every one that I saw online that was an antique was about $5,000. And building it gave me a real sense of satisfaction. Having my bed finished like this has not only made it better for sleeping, it's given me a sense of confidence and a sense of luxury in the chaos that is building. I'd like to make the loft bedroom in a similar style, but I'm gonna have to wait until we build the timber frame home and my daughter is no longer sleeping up there, because at the moment, she's very attached to making all the decisions for her room, as she should be. Another cool thing about this bedroom is there is a second set of double French doors that are at the foot of the bed. Those are gonna open in the future to a raised deck that has a sunken hot tub in it. Even though it's a tiny home, I have crammed everything that I love into one space. The vision I have for the outside deck is actually pretty massive, and I want it to have a covered area that has timber frame accents that will match the future timber frame home and all of the other wooden designs that are going to be on the property. I'm going for a modern but whimsical feel, and really I've just been choosing things that make me feel cozy. You may notice that there's no toilet in the bathroom, and that's because in the next video, I'm gonna give you a tour of my throne room, which is my very bougie outhouse, and my cabin studio. Clearly, the tiny home is a work in progress, and the list of things to do is quite long. I've got to fix this paint that's chipping off. I've got to finish staining and cutting a bunch of things. I need to fix a leaky faucet. I need to install all the flooring. I need to cover this beam. I need to build the bookshelves. I need to fix this broken exhaust pipe, finish the siding on the back of the house, put a railing on the rooftop patio, and more. This has been a true labor of love. It has helped living in it though, because what I've been able to save on rent, I've just been able to put into the tiny home build. It's been a marathon, but I just pick away at it one job at a time when I have money and energy. Sometimes I've had to take some big breaks just because I get burnt out. Living in a tiny home has given us a chance to do adventurous things like traveling together, which I never thought was possible as a single mom. It was really vulnerable to show you this because it's not finished, and normally I like things to be crisp and clean and perfect, but that's not how life works, and I think it's more important to show you the journey along the way and not just the end result. While it might seem like a lot is done, there's still a long way to go. I wrote down all of the projects and the list is still very long. And the thing is, I need to finish the tiny home first so I can rent it out, so that income will help pay for the construction mortgage to build the timber frame home that will hopefully be my forever home. When I started this project, I didn't own a hammer and I didn't even know how to use a skill saw. But eventually I said to myself, if you ever want to get this finished, you're gonna have to start doing it yourself. So I have built things here, and now I feel competent to finish a lot of the work on my own. I'm hoping maybe my brother or somebody might help me for a few projects, but I got this, even if I'm by myself. And no matter what you do in life, remember to pour love into it.